Peace, family. So I'm back with another one. Today what I want to do is I want to talk to my chosen ones about the saying or the statements that are being said about you are broken, I am broken, I'm a broken person, we are broken. And I wanted to address this subject and this topic because I feel wholehearted deeply that we are far from broken individuals. Yes, I understand there's a war going on out here and there's a lot of things that are not moving in the healthiest light, but it's hard for me to look at us as broken individuals, especially us that's out here fighting this spiritual war, the ones that's aware that they're fighting and the ones that's unaware that they're fighting in this spiritual war. You know what I mean? To me, like, the statement, like, I'm broken, or, that was like, anything that has to do with, like, breakage in that area, like, spiritually, unless you're, like, breaking ties, when people make statements like I'm broken or that broke me, it's kind of like casting, like, low self-esteem, fears, and doubts, these spells upon yourself. Yes, you go through things and they don't always turn out the way you want them to go through, but that doesn't mean you're a broken individual. Like, one thing that we are not allowed to avoid in this 3D realm is pain. You are not allowed to avoid it. Somebody's experiencing pain when you're coming into this universe, whether you are experiencing it, which I'm pretty sure babies feel the pain of being pressed out of that little hole. They just cannot tell you, hey, that shit hurt. You know what I'm saying? But as far as, like, for the adults and the women that's going through the process, they can tell you, it's painful. But I'm pretty sure it's painful on both ends of the spectrum, which a lot of people never really speak of because the babies don't speak our language, so we just assume that it doesn't hurt them. They just, they got to get here. But you have to experience pain. The only thing we're really allowed to avoid is the suffering. The suffering is the pondering and the lingering upon that situation or that which have hurt you. You know what I'm saying? So if I've been through some shit that's real fucked up, or let's say, like, y'all know I discussed my band. Let's say I'd say, oh, my band broke me. I was broken in that time and phase in my life. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm still making these statements or saying these things, like, that's not pushing me up here where I need to go and where I need to be at. And I'm actually talking about myself. I'm not talking about other individuals. So the only being that statement would be hurting, casting fears or doubts, any kind of spells in that manner, would be on myself. Why would I want to do that to myself? It's already enough motherfuckers out here trying to hurt me, so why would I just help them by me hurting myself for them? Like, nah, I'm not gonna make this job easier for you. You're gonna have to work. You gotta work to get this body bag over here to send me on to this next journey. You know what I'm saying? But understanding that, like, you're gonna have injuries in this battle, you're gonna have war wounds in this battle, but that doesn't make you a broken individual. What I went through with my mom's and my sperm donor doesn't make me a broken individual. That's a part of life. Everybody just have different walks, but I would never use that statement as, oh, I'm broken, or, my sperm donor not being around, that broke me, or that, like, yeah, I feel it, I felt it, because I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. So just acknowledging the facts isn't detrimental to me, because I know my intentions is only just to acknowledge it, to be aware of it, and to keep it moving. It's not to ponder and linger and put a whole bunch of weight and talk about all this shit that could have been done or that was done. Like, when you learn to let go, you don't have to concern yourself with that space anymore. You're able to talk from a much higher frequency, so you don't have to keep going back, indulging and re-referencing those points. You know what I'm saying? But understanding that you are not a broken being, you know what I'm saying? You are just in the process of going through your trials and tribulations of that season. Each chapter, each phase you go through, you're going to have different trials and tribulations. So, like my daughter, each baby got its own trials and tribulations before it starts crawling. Then they got its own trials and tribulations before it starts walking. Then as it goes from walking to the body progress and everything else, it has a new set of trials and tribulations. It continues to go. The only difference is with us human beings is we don't have the physical presence and appearance to show for each time we level in the spiritual realm. So, say like my daughter's 6. Let's say she moved up like a couple levels in the spiritual realm. It wouldn't be the number 6, but it would be spiritually, but it wouldn't show. We wouldn't see how many levels she's moved up. We would just only know by the knowledge, the way she communicates outwardly, and her movements. You know what I'm saying? That would be the only way we'd be able to tell these things apart from each other. So that's why the words are spells and the spells are real are extremely important for us to be aware of and just understanding. Like, just be mindful using these statements. Even some dudes that I associate with sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Like, shorty, she broke me, you know what I'm saying? She broke my heart, blah, blah. Nah, this is part of your journey. This is something you had to go through because you started taking these steps. Not saying like, oh, you got to go through this because this was lined up here for you. No, when you start walking these steps and you decide to, oh, I'm going to sway with this team over here, these are kind of some of the trials you got to go through with this team over here. When you start to sway this way over here with the other team, you have some trials and tribulations you have to deal with that goes with over here as well too. It makes everything a lot easier once you can get to the separation, understanding we are a spiritual war. This is why your friends and family are having a hard time grasping onto this concept and this knowledge and this information, or just even wanting to get back to the core roots of things. Knowing what the natural flow of life is, how you're supposed to be operating as a male figure, how you're supposed to be operating as a female figure. You know what I'm saying? The things we're supposed to be doing, like working together as a community, knowing who the fuck your neighbor is. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know right now it doesn't matter because we got all kind of motherfuckers mixed in the pot. You know what I'm saying? Like, we see it on the news. You wake up, oh, I didn't know Lewis was a murderer. You know, he done killed his wife 2 doors down. Like, what the fuck? Like, not saying he's a murderer because he killed somebody. Like, that's what he is. But you don't know that he had the capacity to just take somebody's life who wasn't causing him any ill intentions or harm. That's the difference when it comes to, like, people hurting other people and doing these things. Like, it's a difference when you're defending and protecting versus when you're just lashing out and taking shit out on innocent beings and other entities. You know what I'm saying? That's a huge difference. Like, I would have to be a extremely disgusting, evil, ill-intended person to go just outright do something to, like, somebody old or like a little kid or a baby or some shit. Like, I already know how I'm built. I already know my stature. I already know what I'm capable of. So for me, that concept, even when I was younger, was like a bully. Like, I don't have to go around bullying people. We don't have to go around bullying people. You know what I'm saying? But you also are not broken. You know what I'm saying? I also wasn't broken. We just have to understand that, like, the more you start removing some of these words or understanding or correcting them as you're saying them, it's going to help you in your process a lot faster. And that's what I always do. And then, you know, that comes with just being self-aware. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a huge part. Like, you have to be aware of what you're saying, what you're doing, and what's going on in the environment around you. You know what I'm saying? And even if you don't fully comprehend and understand, do the best you can to try to understand and understand. You know what I'm saying? And overstand. So it's like saying you're broken is all connected to these fears over here. You know what I'm saying? Because if you didn't know those words to use or that language, or if nobody ever referenced it in that manner, you would never use it in that manner. And these are something that, like, things that are in place that the matrix, the system, the higher ups know that's in charge, but they influence this shit. And that's because people, when they do shit that's on their team, is getting rewarded for it. Even if you haven't signed up with them, if you do shit publicly or behind the scenes and it go publicly, that's for them, they're gonna co-sign it and you're gonna get rewarded. We see a lot of motherfuckers getting rewarded for weird, witchy behaviors. You know what I'm saying? So it makes it okay for them to do that. But that doesn't mean that I'm gonna co-sign with that shit over here. You know what I'm saying? I won't shame you to the ground, but I'm gonna shame you some, and I'm gonna address it and say something. Like, that's just me. And if that's not something that you are okay with, then you should not be around healthy beings, organic beings, or honest beings. You know what I'm saying? But I ain't want to run it up too long, you know what I'm saying? You are not broken. Broken, and consider yourself broken, and hearts broken and breaking and all this shit. It's just another word spell, you know what I'm saying? You got plenty of transitions you got to go through in your life. Plenty of transitions you got to go through in your life. You know what I'm saying? And I can go in a little bit more on this subject, but I didn't want to take it up too long, you know what I'm saying? Y'all just tapping everything down below. Peace and love to the kings and queens.